Alright, I got home late last night from a very long trip down to get my new leaf vacuum, which I'm super excited about. It's a little bit drizzly today, so it's not an ideal day to use it, but I just can't wait anymore. So let's check it out. I've been using leaves in the garden for many years. In fact, as a commercial farmer, I worked out a deal with my local transfer station, and in the fall, I would leave a large flatbed trailer with a makeshift wall outside the recycling building. The director of the transfer station would tell everyone to throw their bags of raked leaves into the trailer, and then he'd call me when it was full. I'd bring it to the farm, unload it, and take it back for another round. More recently, I began shredding the leaves, particularly after reading Will Bonsel's book, which I've mentioned previously. Shredded leaves work better as mulch than whole leaves because the increased surface area allows them to stay put even in high winds. It also creates a better mulch because it completely covers the ground, not leaving gaps where sunlight can penetrate, and thus allowing weeds to germinate. Leaves are a wonderful addition to the garden in terms of organic matter. If you think about it, the healthiest ecosystems on Earth are native prairies and forests. Nature's figured this out. All we have to do is try to emulate her as best we can. But I no longer collect leaves from the dump. I promised myself that if I ever found anything really disgusting in there, I'd stop collecting municipal leaves. I won't tell you what I found that pushed me over the edge, but suffice it to say, I'm collecting my own leaves now. The issue with that is that it takes a lot of time. For a few years, I've been raking the leaves onto a tarp, hauling it back, then standing in front of my chipper shredder for hours at a time. I've long wanted to get around this with a leaf vacuum, but they're very expensive. I've looked for used ones for years, and finally, this year, I decided I was going to build my own. I found plans online, watched several videos, and was just about to begin buying components when the wisdom I've gained over my years thus far piped up. I wondered if I was falling into the trap I've sometimes fallen into, whereby I think I'll build something myself to save money, and by the time I've done, I've spent way more than I would have, plus wasted a lot of time. So I pressed pause on the Build It Yourself project and took another look at Craigslist. Lo and behold, I found one for sale in Maine for only $100. Well, I got a chance this morning. I got about an hour to test out my new leaf vacuum, and I'm super excited. It works really well in here out the wind. I made 3 passes, and in that amount of time, so it was about 50 minutes, I gathered more leaves in that 50 minutes than I did over 3 weekends last year, raking and shoveling onto a tarp and then dragging the tarp back to my leaf storage, unloading the tarp, and then standing in front of leaf storage and shredding them with a stationary shredder. So this thing cost me $100 plus the gas and time to get, 2 hours away, so 4 hours round trip. It was quite a drive. And it's made everything so much faster in terms of gathering mulch for next year's garden. I'm really excited. So I have about an hour now at the end of the day. We just got back from field hockey tournaments for Lizzie, and I have about an hour before I start making dinner, so before it gets dark. So I'm going to do another hour, and I basically, assuming everything goes well, like it did this morning, I will have already gathered twice as much in terms of volume of leaves that I had last year. So really exciting for next year's garden. I really have a hard time believing how much this is revolutionizing my use of leaves in the garden. But I have been through this before. For years when I started farming commercially, I avoided investing in irrigation because it's very expensive. Then, when I finally got to the point where I figured I'd better do it, I couldn't believe how much time I had wasted standing in the hoop house watering seedlings by hand. There's definitely something to be said for investing in appropriate tools and technology to make your homestead or farm more efficient. The challenge is always knowing where that threshold is. In this case, though, I've definitely made the right decision. I've mentioned previously that Nights and Weekends Homestead is on a private road. Not only do we own several hundred feet of the road, but we're part of the road association, and I participate in road maintenance parties in the fall with some of the other residents in our neighborhood. Each fall, our road is completely covered with leaves, and they all end up being blown to the sides of the road by car traffic and the autumn winds. Leaves on the road is bad because it dilutes the gravel with organic matter, especially when we grade the road each summer and it all gets mixed together. Alternatively, they build up in the ditches over the years, causing water to stay on the road longer than it should. Since I want leaves for the garden, and I want leaves off the road, this leaf vacuum is going to help both tasks at once. I'm really loving this thing. I said yesterday that I was gonna... Did you get him, Ziggy? Oh, he ran up the tree, didn't he? Yeah, there he goes. Good boy, you keep him up there. Maybe he'll be too afraid to come down. Ziggy's chasing squirrels for me. Anyway, I said yesterday that I was going to go spend about an hour in the late afternoon collecting leaves with a new leaf vacuum. And that if everything went well, I would have had twice as many leaves as I did last year in only 2 hours. As often happens, everything did not go well. The bag that the leaves are collected in broke. The zipper broke, and I messed around with it for about half an hour, and it's broken. It's not going to be fixed. And then I started looking around online to see if I could find a replacement bag, and of course, they don't make those anymore. So then I started looking for an alternative, something I could mess around with, and that didn't work either. I couldn't find anything. I had intended to make some sort of conversion so that my dump trailer would be the collection system instead of the bag that it came with. But it's certainly a lot easier just to use the thing that came with it. So I had already decided I'll do that later, maybe next year. Just for now, I want to get through this year with the bag that's on it. Those types of statements have a way of never really coming to fruition. So in a way, it's kind of fortunate that this happened, because now I'm going to be forced to come up with the system that I was intending to create. So I went to the hardware store today and got what I think will work. I made it up as I went, as I do very frequently with these types of projects. So who knows if I have everything I need, but I'm going to spend a few minutes before work and see if I can get something figured out to collect the rest of these leaves. I don't want them going to waste on the road.